Welcome everybody to this edition of Getting to Know, the series of interviews with Essex ringers about their ringing careers and interesting bits that happen in the rest of their day life. Today my guest is Sharon Lacey. Hello Sharon.
Hi Vicky.
Hiya, thank you for joining me. Sharon, you are currently the Essex Association's General Secretary. Can you tell me a little bit about what the role of the General Secretary is?
Arrange the management meetings that take place and the main AGM meeting that also takes place in May. So it's the organisation behind those meetings, generally taking minutes and generally just being sort of a go-to person in terms of communication, feeding things through, and just supporting, and a lot of my work is supporting the master, of course.
How did you come to be in that post? How did that come about?
I did something that you should never do, and that is to tell people that you're retiring. And then I was approached by Fred Bone and Ian Kirwin in the same week and asked me to, have I thought about applying for General Secretary. Basically, I guess I was a bit flattered and said yes. But although I did speak to Mary, who had previously held the role before I applied, so I didn't sort of go in totally blind. Mary gave me a little grilling and made sure that I knew what I was applying for.
Tell us a little bit about you. How long have you been ringing? Where do you ring? What do you consider your home tower?
So my home tower is at Sawbridgeworth, but I also ring regularly at Willingale and also at Saffron. I started ringing around 4 years ago, and that was following a Church Explorer Day, which was at the Mayfair. I met up with my friend and she said, I've always wanted to go up the tower, but my husband won't take me. So off we went. I said, oh, come on, I'll take you. So we went up the tower and we were shown how to ring, and and we turned up, and then I continued from there. So I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, she didn't continue, but I did.
What do you remember? What are your experiences of learning to ring right at the beginning?
As I said, I've only been ringing sort of 4 years, so I'm still very much still learning. I think it's a sort of a continual journey. That's what I've learned, is that it's quite a long and can be quite difficult. And I have found it difficult because I think there is so much to learn and remember, and it sort of uses all your senses at the same time, and I found that quite difficult. But I often ask myself, why is it so difficult? How can it be so difficult? Effectively, you're just, pulling a bell, and I get sort of, I suppose I get a bit annoyed with myself that I can't do it, and then it becomes a challenge. So at the moment it's sort of, this won't beat me, I will do it.
So apart from the challenge then, what do you enjoy most about ringing?
I enjoy visiting other towers. I think that is quite special, and what I find amazing when you go to different towers is it's effectively all the same thing. You have bells, and but then they're all unique in different ways. It could be a ground floor ring, it could be an upper ring. Whether it's how you go up the tower, and then all the bells. There's no two bells are the same. They're all different, and some of them are set in the most beautiful sort of countryside, very picturesque. So I like that side of the ringing, and also on the rare occasions I do get it right, there is that sense of achievement. So when I do get it right, it's just, yes, I got it. So that's quite great. And also there's the people. I've met some really nice people, and I've made some great friends, and there's a sense of community within the bell ringing.
You haven't been ringing very long in sort of bell ringing terms, I guess, but what's been your greatest ringing memory or achievement so far?
Probably my first quarter pill, which was last year. But I know, but sometimes it can be the smallest thing. It might be just ringing a touch. Just my first time ringing inside. That's a sense of achievement for me. So sometimes it's just the little things that just give you a lift and just keeps you going on that journey.
And have you had any occasions where perhaps it's all gone a bit disastrously wrong?
I've had quite a few. Yeah, so I've had quite a few occasions when it's just not gone well, and I've thought about giving up. But I suppose I'm a bit of a little bit of a perfectionist. I want to do well. But because I want to do well, I keep going back, and I thought, this is not going to beat me, and I will do it. And you do. Sometimes you feel like you take 2 steps forward and then you take 1 back, but you're always going forward with ringing. And so I find it really worthwhile, and it is useful. Sometimes it doesn't go as well, but hopefully it's not all the time.
So are there any ringers within your career to date that you would say have been influential for you?
I think I'm quite fortunate that we've got some very good teachers, not only at my local tower, so there's Fred and Mary Bone, but also on the ringing course. So I was very fortunate to have good teachers on the ringing course. Andrew Kelso was one of my teachers, as was Anne Bray as well, and I've learned a lot from them. So I'm quite fortunate that my home tower tends to attract a lot of good, experienced ringers, not just from not just from Sawbridgeworth, but from the local wider area, from Bishop's Dortford and Harlow and Hatfield Heath. So we get a wide range, and everyone's willing to give their experience and help you. And sometimes it can be sometimes someone will say something, it could be a little nugget, and it'll just, and it just goes, oh, I got it, and it all falls into place. So one of 2 people have just sort of given me that light bulb moment, and just, or you've never appreciated it before. But yes.
You've mentioned that you've rung a Court Appeal. What are your future bell ringing goals or ambitions?
But in the short term, I'm starting to ring inside. Nothing too complicated. In terms of my ambitions, I think I'd like not to have so many bad habits, because I have a number of bad habits. And then sort of currently, it's been useful to try and build up on my theory through the ringing room, and I've also had a go at handbells, which is a whole new world. But I think that's something that I might like to explore. Because it doesn't have the sort of fear.
So Sharon, what would you say to other ringers to enthuse them and to encourage them to participate in some of the management aspects of the district or the association, or even just at their local tower?
For me, I've taken on this role, and as you understand, I'm not a competent or a strong bell ringer. I've not been ringing for years. I don't have a wealth of experience, but I can bring something different to that role, whether it's administration, organisation. You don't, as I said, that's what you need to be a secretary. As I said, you need about organisation, prioritisation, and it's sort of about getting things done. You don't need to ring a court appeal to write minutes and such. But it's not just about writing minutes, it's about connecting with people and networking, which is a side that I like as well, and supporting each other. And it's creating that sense of community within the bell ringers, which is what I'd like, what you can do.
You mentioned that your friend dragged you up the tower because she wanted to go and have a look. How would you or what would you say to non-ringers to encourage them to come along and have a look and have a go for themselves?
Do go up the tower, as I did. If there's an open day or there's an opportunity to have a go at ringing, because you never know where that will take you or what journey that will take you on. I found it hard, but there are successes. There is that sense of achievement. So I think it's worth having a go, and because as I say, you never know where that's going to take you.
What unexpected things has ringing taught you?
I think it teaches you a bit about teamwork and the need to support each other, because particularly when you're in a band, you're only going to be as good as your weakest member. So it's all about encouragement and making sure that you're all ringing as one. It's not down to the individual. You could be a very good ringer, but you wouldn't get that quarter pill without all 6 people or 8 people ringing as one.
Your association secretary, you haven't been ringing very long yourself, and you said that you were approached by other ringers to consider taking it on. What made you decide to say, yes, okay, I'll give it a go?
I felt it was something I could do well. Because of my background, it was something I could do well in terms of administration, organisation. So I thought, I could do this. It's not beyond me. And I felt I had the time. I thought I had the time to do it. I also wanted to learn more about the association, not necessarily just to improve my ringing, but just to get a wider experience of the association and understand more about the different towers in Essex and also meet people.
You said that you retired now. What other interests, activities and hobbies do you have outside of ringing?
I'm currently volunteering in a local library. So the library's run by a team of volunteers, which I'm part of. And I also, I'm a printmaker, basically printing, things like lino printing, engraving, that type of. I've been printing for a number of years, and then in the last few years I've started, so I do a lot of watercolours, so in terms of an artist in a sense, so I do watercolours, pictures as such, and that's a couple of things that I've done is that, sometimes you can visit a lovely church, and because I like to try and combine different activities, so I can go to a church, take some photographs of the church and then turn that into watercolour, and then I can say I've rung at that church, which is nice as well. So you can take a picture, create a watercolour or an intaglio print, and then say, I've rung there.
And do you keep the prints for yourself or do you sell them?
I have sold a couple in the local, so only of Silbury Church. It was my first ever print that I sold. Just in a local exhibition, and I sold it really cheap, just so I could just say, I've sold.
With all of that going on, how does ringing fit in and with your commitments to your daily life?
I've always been able to sort of juggle, whether it was my work, my studies, and also bringing up a family at the same time. I once had, years ago, I got an award for juggling, being able to juggle all these things. So I think it helps to be fairly organised and be able to prioritise in that sense, and to make lists. I tend to make lots of lists, and then which also gives you a sense of achievement once you've crossed them off. But so that's how I tend to juggle things. Also, my memory's not as good, that's why I can make the list. But being organised and being able to prioritise, you can juggle everything just about.
So, Sharon, is there anything else that you'd like to finish up with? Any stories you'd like to share, or pearls of wisdom?
I'd just like to summarise on what I said about being an association officer, that you don't need to be a ringer with a wealth of experience or been ringing for a long time. It's what else you can bring to the role, whether it's administration, organisation. As I said, you don't need to be a ringer. Like, you know, I've shown that you don't have to be a strong ringer to be association secretary.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Sharon. Really lovely to hear about you and your ringing and why you got involved in the Essex Association. So thank you very much.
Thank you.